Welcome to the Audible. We've done many live Audibles over the last year and a bit, but never all together. All together right now. Donnie RightSide, Whale Capper have just got in our guide. The team is united. Donnie RightSide, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Living the life down here in South Florida. It's been great. Weather's been great, and it's football season, so I'm looking forward to it. We're doing it live, and let's do it.
Yeah, and we're going to get to break down a game we're going to in 2 days. Whale Capper, welcome to Miami. What are your first thoughts rolling in?
Well, this has been a fantastic trip so far, and it's just getting started. Major thank you to the SBR family for bringing us all together. We're going to have an absolutely fantastic weekend, and can't wait to break down these games with you guys.
Oh, man, I can't wait to this show as well as Betting with the Bag, having you on. I'm so excited about this whole week, and we've got big things going on. First off, we need you guys, all of our Audible, the guys that we roll with each week in and week out. We need you to sign up for the $50K Pick 6 contest, SBR's Pick 6 contest. Donnie RightSide's going to be in it. Whale Cap is going to be in it. I'm going to be in it with under our names. So it's going to be a lot of bragging rights and a lot of talk about how we're doing throughout the season. Also, we are giving out 4 NFL game passes, one each day, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, NFL game passes. And to do that, to achieve a free NFL Game Pass, all you got to do is go onto our tweet, and I've retweeted it. It's also on the SBR Sportsbook tweet, and it's about our best sportsbook page at Sportsbook Review. You comment on the tweet, tell us what are the 7 top-rated sportsbooks you would most likely use, and you are automatically entered. In every late show at 5:30 p.m., we will be giving away an NFL Game Pass. And also, for the people coming down to the Diplomat to roll with us, we are giving a Most Valuable Audience Member award out each and every day here. The winner is Old Comic Ricky, Pretty Ricky, Old Long Cock Ricky. He's got a lot of nicknames, this man, and he's also now an SBR Pro. And he won that yesterday with some poetry. There was a lot going on. There's a lot going on, Ricky. A lot going on. And so we're giving out an SBR Pro membership each and every day. And come down, see us live. We're at the Diplomat. We're at the North Tower 301, Conference Room 301. Come and join us. And then I get the joy of saying thank you to all the Cappers in the chat right now. We got Tomarino Tomor, who says, I think the 49ers just put Spates in late, so the under was close. We have Alex Ramirez, Walla Walla Dos, Kyle Jack, and I was just telling these guys about Kyle Jack. Lives in South Africa, a South African who focuses on the MAC conference. Is there a cooler resume?
That's impressive.
Is there a cooler resume than that? I love the guy. Yeah. I retweeted. He gave us a shout-out yesterday and wanted us to have a great time here, and I wish he was joining us. There's Kyle Jack, and that's Nutflush Allen. We're picking him up tomorrow night at 9 o'clock at the airport. Him and his wife, Kristen. Trotwham's going to be there, too, and we're going to go directly to the casino to hang with you guys. Nutflush Allen. We got Alex Ramirez. Teddy B says, can we start off the show with the Skol Vikings? He needs to talk Vikings. Teddy B needs Vikings, as much Vikings as possible. I am Axeman in the house. Says, Whale Capper needs a green screen for the beach and sunshine background.
Well, we're here.
It's
tough for filming.
It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous right there.
It's beautiful here.
Yellow Jesus blessing all of our picks as Whale Capper looks younger on his channels. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh, boy.
CT Bays, my guy CT Bays. So CT Bays met up with That Fire TV and Tease at Delaware Park, and seeing our guys, our low baggers, hanging out together just makes me so happy. And they did that. Anthony Zook in the house. Tomarino Tomor. We have Oscar Valverde, Vicente Ramirez. We have Spencer Hicks. Spencer Hicks is going to come down and meet us at the horse track on Saturday at Gulfstream. Nasty Nate, Bookie Lover Q. Bookie Lover Q came out with us last night and we hung out till late, hitting that Patron. It was great seeing Donnie on the Patron.
Yeah,
Would
have thought that one.
That was nice. And Bookie Lover Q is so dope. You're going to love hanging out with him. Shout out to Bookie Lover Q. Ron Fig. Nice to see Ron Fig. I haven't seen Ron Fig in a while. We have a great group. There's Fat Win in the house. Fat. Ready to get to work. And today we are talking about 6 Thursday games and 2 Friday games. That is our schedule right now, and we're going to start Thursday. And I would like to start with the game that we are going to see. We are going to be live at, and you guys can join us at the Jaguars-Dolphins game. I'd like to start there because it's the one I'm most excited about. Dolphins open to -2.5 now, -3, -3.5 money coming in on the home squad fish that have been starting Rosen in each of these games. Total open at 36.5. It's still there at Pinnacle and BetOnline, but everywhere else has moved it to 37. Miami opened with a 34-17 win at home to the Falcons. Followed that with a 60. Did I say Falcons?
Yes.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, shit. Oh, what's happening? The Falcons And then 16-14 loss at Tampa. Rosen, as I said, started both games and looked very average. Very average. The Jaguars have looked awful, losing their first 2 games by a combined score of 53-10. The Gardner Minshew show sucks. That's not an enjoyable show. The Gardner Minshew show. Donnie RightSide, we are going to be live at this game. I will be betting it, and I want to make money at this game. Can you help lead me in that direction? Donnie RightSide, Jaguars at Dolphins.
Yeah, you know what's interesting about this game? Because you take a look at the previous 2 Jacksonville Jaguar games, just horrific on offense. Now, the one thing we're going to get a little bit of a bonus in this one is Leonard Fournette's going to come back in this game. You saw the head coach say, you know what, we're going to get some full-time actual starters in this game. Nick Foles is going to finally make an appearance. But how long is that going to be for? Like, if you hold him out the first 2 games and you say they're finally going to get their appearance, is Fournette going to get 5 carries? No, he's probably going to shadow, get a carry up the middle, pick up some pass pro, and get out of the football game. It's one of those where, again, you're talking about a team that's trying to set up for the season with the Miami Dolphins. I like the quarterback battle. I think you're getting better quarterback play. And if you're just going to bet this football game and you want the Jaguars, maybe it's a first-half look because you are going to get Nick Foles. But I don't want the Jacksonville Jaguars full game. I didn't like what I saw for the first 2 games. But, again, preface this by saying dress rehearsal week. They're going to get their starters back in the lineup. But I got to tell you, I agree with the line move with the Miami Dolphins, and I'm probably leaning that direction right now.
Yeah.
Still, even at 3.5, you still think
that's a tough one to go over. But again, I'm just looking at it from a full game perspective where once Nick Foles and those starters leave the game, Jacksonville is horrific on offense. That's not going to be the case with the Dolphins.
Well, Clint Richardson very succinctly says, I don't want the Jags either. Hello. Thank you for joining us, Clint. I hear that. And Luca DiStefano says, first Audible I've ever watched. Let's go Falcons. And then he laughs at me. Okay, let's.
So he's lying. He's watched many of these if he knows Falcons.
Yeah, he knows Falcons. Anthony Mastinardi says, listen, I'm a diehard Dolphins fan. And I tell you something right now. Take Miami full game. They have heart, and they're playing to win. Whale Capper, first game here in Miami. We're going to be there live, and I want to make money off of it. Jaguars at Dolphins.
Yes, I'm in agreement with Donnie that the line move is reflecting the correct direction. The Dolphins are absolutely a team that is trying to build momentum here through the preseason, and Doug Marrone has all but come out and said that they're mailing it in here. So I'm not expecting the Jags to really show us much in terms of what they're going to bring to the table as far as their offensive approach for the regular season. That said, I do think this total is too low. This looks like a nice over spot here. I think these 2 teams are pretty sloppy with the football. I think we're going to see some turnovers. There might be some weather. It might be a little wet. This is a good opportunity for some short fields and some short field scoring. I think both the Dolphins last game against the Bucs, which was influenced so heavily by rain in the first half of that one, as well as the Jags game against the Eagles going under, were both pretty lucky hits for those unders, and I think this is a deflated total because of that. So give me some over here.
Give me some over. I think that's a nice spot. 36.5. Now it's at 37. Donnie, what do you think of the total?
Yeah, look, game 3s, usually with that dress rehearsal, you're going to see a little bit more. And I'm telling you, I think you're going to get some pretty good play out of the offense from the Miami Dolphins because they're not settled yet who the quarterback's going to be. They're going to want to show it up, maybe open the playbook a little bit more. But it's a little bit leery on that Jacksonville because you get back to the games that they played. They were horrible versus the Eagles. They were embarrassing on offense versus the Ravens. It's a tough one on that end. I just think the Dolphins have the better talent overall for the football game. I think they'll show a little bit more, rookie head football coach. I just like it more from the side than an actual total perspective here, Jimmy.
Yeah, I think they're great breakdowns, and I want to have action. So at this point, there's no first halves available. There's a full game and an over, and I'm going to be line shopping for deciding how to hammer it while we're on the show, and I'll let you guys know. Tomino says there's no way I'm betting an over with Minshew likely playing a whole half. I get that. He also says Minshew's look like trash, and Marrone doesn't seem like he cares.
He can't look worse.
He can't look worse. He looks so bad. And then Joe Yurkovich says, I can't trust Whale Capper without his sunglasses. So there we go. Now you trust him. Now you trust him. Now you trust him. Comic Ricky said, how cool is Whale Capper? No notes, no laptop? Man, this guy.
He's disrespecting us. I looked over to the first thing yesterday. I said, he doesn't have anything. My goodness.
I actually brought my computer down because I have to do a work call right after we're done with this. But
Neil Frank says, Whale Capper in the flesh without green screen views. He doesn't even believe you live. He thinks you're in North Dakota.
Man. Wow, boy.
He thinks you're just over the border from Winnipeg.
All right, well, we'll have to step up our game this year during the regular season. I'm going to go to some pretty wild places. So you'll be entertained.
Okay. All right, I like it. So I'm going to take the over, and I'm thinking about doubling up on Miami. But Tom Marino brings up a very good point. Should the over only be first half because of how bad Minshew is?
Ooh, man. See, Minshew has got to prove to the coaching staff that they don't have to go out and make a move for a different backup quarterback. Is the way I see this. He's got to try to do something. He can't just do the check down routine and 3 downs and out and punt like we've seen from him through 2 games so far. That means he's got to take some chances, and either that manifests as points for the Jaguars or points for the Dolphins. So that's kind of how I see this in terms of how it plays lending to an over.
Okay. Yeah, I think that Tom Marino has changed my mind, even though Minshew is going to need to step up. So I'm going to continue thinking about that. I guess Viper MB saying raise up the mic volumes, and my guy Marcellus Wallace, very kind. Speak into the mics, please. What a very kind way of saying that. Spencer Hicks says y'all better be wearing sunscreen. That stadium's going to be bright and sunny.
Especially at 8 o'clock, yeah.
Well, the stars will be out.
Okay. Neil Frank says feels risky betting these preseason matchups full game, especially how different the 2 halves were last night and without the starters.
Yep, good point.
Yeah, I think that if you are going to put money on a preseason spot, you need to trust the angle.
Yeah, how about it? Because does it have a little bit of a feel like last night? Remember we were talking about maybe you look at the starters, Flacco will be out there, but you get the better quarterback play in the second half from the 49ers as opposed to a full game. I think you get a little bit of that because Jacksonville's going to be live in this game. You don't just want to go out and get rolled with your starters getting in there. But full game, I just see them pulling them out and just doing what they've been doing the rest of the way. It has that kind of little bit of a feel for me last night with that 49ers first half and second half.
Yeah, that is true. I feel like the spot would be for the Dolphins full game, and the total, I could have more confidence on the first half at this point. And I think I will lock those in during the show at some point. Let's move on to Giants at Bengals. Giants at Bengals, and then we'll go in order for the rest of that Thursday card. Bengals opened up at -1.5. Now BetOnline hanging at -2.5, but it's at -135, while all the other books are hanging at -3. Total open at 43.5. Most books at 42.5. Pinnacle at 42. BetOnline at 41.5. So that is dropping. Giants have opened up the preseason with 2 high-scoring wins: 31-22 over the Jets week 1, 32-13 over the Bears in week 2. Alex Tanny and Kyle Lauletta led the charge in week 1. They both looked much better than a lot of us expected. Daniel Jones had that nice 5-for-5 drive with a TD pass. Then in week 2, it was Jones and Manning. They both look good in an easy win over the Bears. Bengals lost week 1 at the Chiefs 38-17, then won at the Redskins 23-13. Ryan Finley looked very good last week. 20 for 26, 150 yards, 2 TDs, and looks to have won the backup job over Jeff Driscoll. And I expect him to show a lot more of that again in this game. Donnie RightSide, Giants at Bengals.
Yeah, early thoughts when you take a look. I like what I see from doesn't have anything to pertain to what we're talking about regular season-wise. But in the preseason, you're looking at a team that read the clippings, and it's the same thing we've been talking about right here on the Audible for the last 2 weeks as well. This is a team trying to find themselves, trying to find starters in the lineup. You're seeing really good quarterback play 1 through 4 with the New York Giants. You're probably going to get Eli Manning, maybe a couple more series in this game, as well as, the rookie that they drafted in Jones, which is absolutely slipping my mind, which is a bad thing there. But looking forward, you take a look at the Bengals. They have a lot of the same things, though. You got really good backup quarterback play last week. Coming into it this week, the final dress rehearsal. If it's going to stay with the Giants, I'm still going to ride it through because I just think they're in preseason mode to win football games. I like their depth that they're playing with here. They're showing a little bit more of their playbook. I'm going to keep it with the Giants here. Even though I think the Bengals are going to be live in this game, I like the Giants. I'm going to stick with them again this week, Jimmy.
Interesting. And would you take them with the points, or would you take them on the money line for a plus score?
I would just take them because, when you're dealing with that close in point spreads, how many times do we see at the end of the football games working on things, going for 2 when you shouldn't, a little bit unorthodox. If they're going to win the football game, they're probably going to cover the spread. Just give me a money line on that one for the Giants.
I like that, a plus line look there. Anthony Mastronardi saying Giants roll again. Says Bengals won on the road last week. They will take a breath here. Anil Frank leaning Giants first half. Tom Marino saying Finley was good in college, played 4 years too. Not Flush on says I challenge ESPN to put up any NFL show up against the Audible, and nobody comes close.
Challenge accepted. Challenge accepted.
I love it, man. I love it. And Joe Yurkovich says Giants look like they really care this preseason, and I think that it was important to state that what your feelings about the Giants are their preseason feelings, and it makes sense. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, no, for sure. Of all the teams we've seen in this preseason, you have to give the Giants credit for looking the most risky. Top to bottom, their offense has been impressive. The fact that Pat, I guess I have to give credit to Shermer. Really, Shermer's a good. He's a good developer of talent when it comes to the quarterback position. He is giving Daniel Jones all of the right looks in terms of the passing game. I love the fact that they're doing this even without some of their top receiving talent out there. The fact that they're able to move the ball through the air after having just dealt Odell Beckham Jr. and having some guys dealing with injuries is pretty impressive. So I'm with Donnie on this one. I think the Giants are the right look. I like them with the plus 2.5 more than I like them on the money line. I think we see a lot of these games are, 1 and 2 are kind of my key numbers here for the preseason, as opposed to 3 is your traditional key number for all things NFL. So if you're going to give me 2.5 and you're going to give me a nice, I think it goes 2.5 is like plus 105 right now, right? I mean, it's a very fair price for a 2.5. So I'll take Giants 2.5 in this one.
Wow, very interesting. And Whale Capper, if I gave you a free play on the total, we've seen it go from 43.5 to 42.5, but some are hanging 42s and 41.5.
Yeah, my gut was over, but the fact that the market's moving against me on this one is a little concerning. I think we have seen the Giants put together some pretty impressive total points, but even last week, a lot of those points were on the back of some pretty sloppy turnovers on the part of the Bears. I think you're going to see a little bit tighter of a game here. I doubt we see a substantial amount of turnovers based on the way that these teams would like to try to operate in this game. And so on that basis, I think this is probably a stay away for me. And if any side, maybe the under is a good look, and because you're looking at a pretty inflated total here as far as what we will likely actually see.
Yeah, and because of the Giants, scoring at will, they put up 63 points in their first 2 preseason games. Donnie, free play on the total, what would the move be?
Same thoughts as yesterday, Jimmy. Like, it's a preseason game, 42.5. I'm always going to lean to the under because preseason games are supposed to go under, if that makes sense. Super vanilla out here. If the first offense looks good, they don't say, hey, let's free roll another 2-3 drives out here. They pull them right out of the game. You saw it yesterday, same type of thing. If I'm going to sit in the 40s, or at least in that 42, 43 range, I'm going to take the under every single time.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense there. Giants at Bengals. Let's move on to Redskins at Falcons. And so we have a couple games here, and you guys know we've had some big market moves, and this is one of them. Falcons open at -2.5. Now Falcons at +2.5 at BetOnline, +3 everywhere else. So +3 across the board everywhere else. So Redskins taking money, and the Falcons continuing their rich tradition of losing in the preseason. Total opened at 43.5. Now it's 41.5 across the board. The Redskins opened with that ugly 30-10 loss at Cleveland. Then went home, gave their fans a little aperitif of the losing that's on the horizon with the 23-13 loss to the Bengals. Haskins and Keenum looked bad in week 1. Haskins looked a little better in week 2. Keenan again looked bad. Falcons have continued to just lose under Dan Quinn in the preseason. 14-10 in the Hall of Fame game, 34-27 at Miami, and then 22-10 loss at home to the Jets. Matt Ryan played last week, 10 for 14, 118 yards. Sims looks awful, 9 for 19 with a pick last game. And Schaub's play, as we've talked about on the show, is extremely underwhelming. Falcons open as favorites, and right now they're a +3 everywhere. Donnie, Redskins at Falcons.
It's a really hard one because if you didn't have the MO of like Atlanta really doesn't care, and you see that market move and you get the 3, say, you know what, I'm just going to take the Falcons at 3 because Matt Ryan was sharp. He might get a little bit more work this time. And actually Matt Schaub has come on since that embarrassment that he had in that first football game. But I still can't get over the fact that one team literally doesn't, nothing even makes sense. You saw it in the Miami game a couple weeks back. 4th and 6, 4th and 9, whatever it was, on their own 20 with 2 minutes to go. Hey, we don't want to play any more football. Let's just take a sack right here and just give up the loss. Now, when you come from another perspective with the Redskins, what do we like about that? We talked all preseason long about the 3-headed monster they had at quarterback trying to figure out one. You already have one already out in Colt McCoy. Now you're going to have 2 guys, and they don't particularly look too good, which is a good thing in this game. Because if you're a quarterback, you say, this is my last shot to be a starter for game 1 in the football season, whether it be the rookie takes it by the reins or you have Case Keenum doing it. That's good because you know what Jay Gruden's probably saying, Jimmy? Hey, this is up to you 2 guys. I'm going to give you extended time, maybe 2 quarters apiece to try to get after it. That always factors in well because you have a legitimate competition in this game. Even though it's not a really good one, I agree with the market move in this one for the Redskins.
When it's moved so heavily, do you feel like, is it worth being on the ass end of this move and taking it at 3 points?
It's hard because you're trying to say, what's going to take place. And again, Sims has been poor. So if you have Schaub probably locking up the backup spot, if Matt Ryan comes out and 10 for 14 in his last game, looks sharp, they know he's the key to their season. So if he comes out on the first drive, 3 for 4 leads him to a field goal, he's probably going to be out of the game already, which then you're going to say, all right, Schaub's going to – we know what we have in Schaub. Let's just let Sims hang out and have fun for 2 quarters. I don't want that if I'm actually going to get legitimate offensive calls on the opposite side. It's a tough market move, but I agree with it, and I think the Skins should be able to win this football game. And again, factors back to the same thing we talked about, Jimmy. One team legitimately doesn't care. So if we get in that same mode, 17-17 in the fourth quarter, they're going to do something stupid in their own end, saying, we just don't want to play any more football and get hurt. I'll take the other team every single time.
Joe Yurkovich says 3-headed monster, more like a 3-headed pimple.
It is a monster.
Joe Yurkovich is saying. And Clint Richardson called me crazy, but I like the Falcons. Joe Yurkovich says, in the fourth quarter, when Quinn doesn't care, Washington will get the cover. And Tom Marino saying the same thing. I'd lean Atlanta early, but Quinn doesn't care about the preseason. Keenum needs to learn the offense. I'd lean Washington full game. Tom Marino says Atlanta first quarter, I think, will be the best value.
See, I like that. There's the angles that I like, because you know you're going to have your starting quarterback out there who probably will move down the field and score, and that's probably going to be a pretty good thing for Atlanta.
I think that's a great angle from Tomor. I love that. Tomor is such a huge asset to our team here. Whale Capper, Redskins at Falcons.
Well, Tomor stole my thunder. Thanks a lot, buddy. No, but in seriousness, the line, the side on this market is broken. This game and the Ravens game. 2 narratives have really taken hold to this point in the preseason. Narrative 1 is the Falcons don't care, which translates to people thinking, well, then they're a must fade, right? No, who cares what the line is? I must fade them. They will, but at the same time, they're not legitimately going out there trying to lose, right? Like, they may not play to win the game, but they're not necessarily full on throwing interceptions in the red zone or legitimately calling minus EV plays out there. So when you see a move this significant and it's not based on actionable information, it's simply based on people following a trend, which is the Dan Quinn is poor against the spread in the preseason. That's not something that I'm going to either get involved with, either backing the team or looking against them, because there is a nugget of truth in there. Like, as this game winds down, if they're down by a touchdown, they're not necessarily going to make the calls that you would need to get the game won. So it's an easy one to stay away from the full game, but the fact that it's moved this much, that will trickle into a first half market, that will trickle into a first quarter market, which opens up an opportunity then to get some line value on the Falcons when, I don't have a lot of respect or regard really for this Redskins team heading into this season. I don't think their first unit is in particularly good shape. I don't love the way that their offensive line is playing. And, there are some specific aspects about the way that the Falcons looked against the Jets in the last preseason game, where they had very clear and obvious areas to work on to try to improve, specifically on the offensive line. And so I think you're going to see a much more inspired performance from the starting unit and the offensive line from the Falcons in this one, and that gives them an opportunity to really to put some points on the board early and cover this first half look.
The Tom Marino's first quarter is just completely – I just love it. I've fallen for it in every way. And there's my guy, Datfire TV. That was who I was mentioning, Datfire TV, CT Base, T-Sol hooking up at the Delaware Park up there. I love hearing that the low baggers are coming together and hanging. Shout out to our guy, Datfire TV. Nando Suevas in the house. My guy, Nando. Absolutely love this. So I like this Falcons look early. This total's gone from 43.5 to 41.5. Do you agree with that market move?
I actually don't. I thought this was an overlook too. So this is another one for me to stay away. This was, the defenses here. We've seen the Falcons play really conservatively in terms of who they're throwing out there. They're really concerned and cautious about some of their defensive players getting injured in this preseason run up here. So I thought this was a nice spot for an over. It is an awfully high line, and the fact that it's come down makes sense. But it's a good one for me to stay away from since my gut was looking over.
Donnie RightSide, 43.5 down to 41.5.
Agree with the line move. The only I actually think the Redskins should be okay in this game because I think they're going to want to decide and score and actually move the football. Where I really get worried about is, again, when you're talking about like a Falcons first half look, maybe the first half over is the right way because I think you're going to get some decent quarterback play out of the Atlanta Falcons. I just think in the second half, I just don't know what I'm going to get out of them at this point. So, getting back to the old adage, give me in the 40s range, I'm still going to lean under because I just think the Atlanta Falcons keep it a little bit vanilla in the second half with some bad quarterback play, and that'll be the end of it.
Yeah, I like it. And those of you watching, if you want to help us, the link at the bottom of the page, get in the $50K Pick 6 contest. Free to enter.
Whoa. $50K?
$50K.
Mm-hmm.
$50K?
50.
How much is the enter?
Nothing.
What?
Squat ass nothing. Zilch. Nil.
How could that be? SBR is too good.
50K. So we want all our Audible fans and friends to join the Pick 6. That means a ton to us. And also, if you there's a link underneath that for the best sportsbook page, a sportsbook review. We're giving out a full NFL Game Pass for the season, 4 of them, one every day. And all you have to do is click on that link and then reply to that tweet, and you are in the running for an NFL Game Pass. There's Andrew McKinnis in the house. There's CT Bays joining us. Okay, let's keep rolling along here, and I am going to make moves on the Falcons first quarter and also on the Dolphins game. I'm just figuring out how to do it and line shopping as we're breaking these games down. Panthers at Patriots. Patriots opened up at -4.5, now -3.5 everywhere, but Bet Online hanging at -3 at -122. The total opened at 44, now 42.5, 42s, and a 41.5 at Heritage. Patriots opened with a 31-3 trouncing of Detroit at Ford Field. Then went to Tennessee and beat them 22-17. As you guys said and predicted, Stidham has looked very strong. Panthers opened with the 23-13 win at Chicago, then lost at home to Buffalo 27-14. After looking good in week 1, Greer and Allen did not look good in week 2. And I'm curious to hear what you think they will deliver in week 3. Donnie RightSide, Panthers at Patriots.
2-0 Patriots, it just seems like, and the same broken record that we have, everybody just always seems to be on the same page, regardless if it's starters, backups, guys looking to make the football team. They're always going to come prepared. Now, the interesting part about this one is we're supposed to get a look at Cam Newton in this game. Luke Kuechly is supposed to be playing in this game, so a little bit more firepower on the Carolina side. But as the game goes longer, I don't know. Is Tom Brady even going to be scheduled to play? Because we don't have any statistics on him, and why should he play in the preseason anyway? So if we take him out of the equation, you still do have 2 pretty good quarterbacks on that side who have run the system and look pretty effective in it. I'm going to lean once again on the New England Patriots in this game just to take care of business, because I just don't, what are we going to get out of Cam Newton throwing short? Is he going to come back, take a 7-step drop, and throw a bomb? No, he's probably going to come in, run a couple RPOs, throw the ball out short, and get out of the football game. I'm just going to lean on the Patriots again in this situation here.
Well, it's been working. Yeah. It's been working if you've been doing it. Whale Capper, Panthers at Patriots.
I'm oppo on this. I'm all about the Panthers in this spot. I think they have a legitimate shot to get a win. I think there are very specific areas down the Patriots depth chart that they are going to be evaluating very carefully. They have some very difficult cuts coming up on this team. We've seen a couple of guys already from the Patriots who have gotten cut, who they were not necessarily on the bubble, so they're obviously wrestling with some very tough decisions as to who is going to make this final 53-man roster, which would lend me to believe that we're going to see even less of the first unit guys than you would expect for a third preseason game. So I like the Panthers here in the first half, and I like them for the full game. I think they get this win, and I would swing away at the money line, even though it's it's the advantage. I either swing away at the money line or sell down to like 3 plus 2.5.
The last time you were this bullish on a dog was the Tennessee Titans week 1 of the preseason. That was very easy.
Yeah. So that was another good look.
I hear a very similar situation coming from you. We have this total that's dropped down to 42 generally, but some 42.5, some 41.5. Another total that's dropping. What do you think of it?
Yeah, and that also makes sense to me because I think both teams are going to be leaning heavily in the running game on this one. I don't think we're going to see passing wide open. I don't think you're going to see them exposing some of their better looks in the through the air. And the Patriots are susceptible to being run on right now. The way their defensive line, they're kind of figuring out right now how they're going to rotate guys in and out. So even on the first unit defense, I don't think you have an especially effective run stopping unit out there, which I think opens up the door for Panthers to play a little ball control here and to keep this a low possession and keep this game in their hands from whistle to whistle.
Donnie RightSide, what do you think of that breakdown and the total?
I like the total look under to me. I just do. I mean, 2 teams that always want to be banked on be physical. They don't really need to show too much. Again, I don't think they're going to get a lot out of Cam Newton. I think they're going to keep the ball control, clock moving here. Both teams, I don't really think they're really effective. Say, hey, we have to win this football game. Looking to get a clean game, physical, put some guys on tape, keep the clock moving. I'll go under again in this one.
Another under. Very interesting looks here. So we got the Whale Capper backing these Panthers first half and full game, and Donnie RightSide liking both the Patriots and the under. Patriots and under. All right, notes taken. Let's move on to Ravens at Eagles. And the man to my left is the perfect person to talk Philly football with. Eagles open at -2.5. Now, huge move to the Ravens. -4, -4.5, -5.
It's crazy.
5. That's
insane.
A 7.5 point move. Total opened at 37.5. Now it's 36, 35.5, or 35. The Ravens continued their rich history of preseason excellence, outscoring their first two opponents 55-13. Jackson, McSorley, Callahan all moving the ball. Justice Turner looking to back up Mark Ingram, and he's doing that with strong performances. He's running the ball nice. Eagles open with a 27-10 loss at Tennessee, then easily defeated the Jags in Jacksonville. Another Eagle quarterback goes down. It's the Thorson show. But, Donnie, will we get some Wentz action behind center this evening?
I don't think so. I don't think you're going to get anything from Carson Wentz in the preseason, which leads you to believe you're not going to throw a guy you just signed out there as a backup 41 or 42-year-old backup quarterback. You're going to see a lot of Clayton Thorson. Now, the market reaction is kind of funny. It's a preseason game. It's on the road. And could it close 5.5, 6? Because of that overreaction where everybody knows. And again, if you're just coming with a philosophy and saying, I'm just going to take the Ravens no matter what, it's been working really well. But now you see it's not the Ravens -1. It's not the Ravens at a pick 'em. It's not at 2 or 3. We're looking, you need about a full touchdown. The thing I actually like better is you see the market move there and see what's coming out. Now look at the side, the total to this one, 36. Now let's factor in some options here as well. You had these two physical teams in 100-degree temperatures in Philadelphia. If you take a look at the heat index, banging in practice left and right. They got all the work they wanted in. I think you see a super vanilla game here on Thursday night. Clock moving fast, in underplay, because what are the Eagles going to do in this football game? Now, again, it is a dress rehearsal. You want to get some guys out there. The Ravens are going to pregame, or usually plan for these games as if they're coming into regular season. The third team blitzing. They're showing like legitimate schemes. But what are you going to get out of the Eagles? Clayton Thorson going up against a scheme defense late in the game with not much talent, just looking to make it to the regular season. Give me the under in this game. This has like something of a, I don't think the Eagles win. They possibly could cover, but I'm looking more of on the lines of a 21-10 type of game. I just don't see very many long scoring drives, and since they already played in those hot temperatures, I think they'll keep it vanilla here.
That breakdown makes a ton of sense. Whale Capper, Ravens at Eagles.
Well, let me ask you about your Eagles, Johnny. They've been swinging away on some home run type of plays this preseason. They've connected on a couple. It's swung games, and it's definitely impacted totals. Would you think that they're going to change their approach entirely, or do you think that they're still kind of working through? Because it feels to me a little bit like they're going to incorporate more of that this regular season.
No, they're going to take the one thing that the Eagles did not have the past couple of years is the one thing you really need is the guy that just lifts off the top because everybody's open underneath. The funny thing you saw, like in the preseason, well, why did we saw it more? There's actually quotes and interviews with Deshaun Jackson. They asked me, hey, when are you going to, cause if you remember a couple years ago, it's not since 2004, you just get T.O. You're going up top every single preseason game, play action, 80-yard passes. Not going to be the case. They're saving more of that here, and I just don't think they're going to show too much. But regular season, I think they're going to let it fly because when everybody's healthy, Wentz going to have time to throw, deep step drops, and also when you have a really good running game, which they had running backs they were pulling off literally seemed like from the street last year with how many injuries they have. Now you're going to get legitimate looks and saying, you know what, I have to respect the running game, and they're going to run wild downfield. It's going to be a fun year in Philly. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm still high on them.
Yeah. Oh no, strong agree. High on the Eagles for this regular season, and it's not too late, I don't think, to still get involved in them from the standpoint of at least the NFC East market, if not the NFC market as the NFC title winners. I'll say this about this game. Again, the market on the side here is broken. This is a move that is not founded in, the news that, oh, by the way, Carson Wentz, we thought it was going to start when we opened this line, and now it turns out he's not, and that's why this move exists. No, this is 100% informed by people kind of stampeding. Mm-hmm. And, it's like when you're in Vegas or potentially over at the Hard Rock Casino and you're at the roulette table and you look up at the board and there's like 10 blacks in a row and you're like, well, it's going to be black again, obviously, right? Like this is kind of has that same feel to it. Like this number doesn't reflect the true strengths of these teams or what how this game might play out at all. It's entirely just people who have gotten paid backing the Ravens week in, week out, who are going back to the well on this one. And if you didn't get the opening number, then there's legitimately no point in betting it now. And again, in the same way that I feel like the market move against the Falcons opened up an opportunity in some of the derivatives. I feel the same way here. I think you can get after the Eagles in the first half here. I thought Thorson was damn effective. And if he gets some first half reps here, I wouldn't be surprised if he continues his progression and kind of threatens for stealing the backup role from Sudfeld while he's away hurt, because he looks like an effective NFL player to me.
What do you think of Thorson?
Not impressed the first, but you're looking at, again, a rookie in his first action who really struggled. And I'm always honest. In the second game, the minute Thorson was going to be the quarterback for the next 3.5 quarters, I immediately live bet the Jaguars.
Oh, same.
And I sat back going, you know what, damn it, Thorson's actually pretty good in this football game. So he's going to get a majority of the look. And keep in mind also, he's going to get a look with some first-team players, which is only going to help. When you're throwing to fifth-string wide receivers who don't understand like cover 2 and cover 3 and what the adjustments are, they're going to understand it. So if he's going to play a decent football game, guys are going to actually be able to help him, as opposed to saying, man, he looks really bad because the wide receiver has no idea what route he's running.
Yeah, I like the breakdown. I like looking towards the Eagles early as a possibility. I find that the Falcons early is a little more appealing at this point, and I can understand the under. I like that breakdown. All right, let's move on to Packers at Raiders. Raiders opened up at -1. Now Packers are -3 across the board. So we have 3 of the first 5 games we've talked about have had the switch, the full switch from favorite to dog. Total open at 43 now. It's 39.5 everywhere except you wager in Bet365, who brought it down to 39. So it's a 4-point move down to the under. Raiders have won both their preseason games 14-3 at home versus the Rams, 33-26 in Arizona. Glennon and Peterman have been strong. Peterman just does it again, 8 for 8 in his last game. Crazy. I mean, this guy is hilarious. He plays a hilarious football. The back of his football card is hilarious. Packers won their opener 28-26 and then lost at Baltimore 26-13. We are waiting patiently to see Aaron Rodgers, but this is the same thing with Tom Brady. There's no reason to put him out there. Will we see him at all directing the offense? Tim Boyle and Deshaun Kaiser did not look good last week. They did not look good at all. Donnie RightSide, Packers at Raiders.
I got to be honest. I'm really confused by the line move here, because what you're reading out of Packers camp, and it's coming from the head football coach saying, boy, you know what? This might go right up to the game time decision. Well, what are we talking about here? So you're actually worried about Aaron Rodgers playing in this preseason game, like it might come down to how he warms up? That doesn't show. Like, do you really want to let him get burned out there for let's just say he thinks his back is better. And football players and athletes lie out say, I feel good, and tweaks it again in that game. I don't know what the 3-point line move would be, but let's just say Rodgers even plays. What's the prognosis? They're going to let him play a whole first half? No, maybe just to take a couple snaps, get that feel back into it. But also when you take a look at the Raiders, again, it gets back to your backup quarterback play. John Gruden is dialing up plays for his backup quarterbacks, and they look good doing it. 3-point, that move, I'm going to lean on the Raiders in this one. I don't understand what's going on with this Packers line move. And maybe, if Rodgers plays, it's going to be great. Maybe a first half look at the Packers and then reverse it to Oakland for the full game. But I'm pretty flummoxed at this 3-point move here. Give me the Raiders.
Kyle Jack saying lean Raiders. Tomino Tomor says Raiders have been playing hard. Defenses look good. Bob Lee Swagger says I like Oakland. Raiders only win when the games mean nothing. Whale Capper, Packers at Raiders.
This is being played in Winnipeg, right?
Oh, I guess, you know what?
I wonder if the bookmakers opened it thinking it was going to be in Oakland, and then somebody was like, it's actually neutral when that was behind the line move. Although I don't really have a good explanation for why it moved so much. I don't understand it. I agree with Donnie.
It's at, what's it called?
It's at IG Field in Winnipeg. I remember, I only know that because I remember hearing some crazy stories. This like tickets for this NFL preseason game in Winnipeg were like, $50 or $100 more than the Grey Cup tickets were being sold for at the same field.
Unbelievable.
So it's like there's an appetite for NFL up in Canada, and maybe the Raiders are doing something stupid about the way they're traveling to Canada or something like that. Wouldn't put it past them. But anyway, the line move doesn't make sense to me, so this was an easy one to stay away from. I've liked the way that Gruden has approached this preseason in terms of a competitive standpoint, and so I would give the Raiders a decent look here. If let's say the Packers kind of come out early and look pretty competitive, I'm going to be ready to get involved in the Raiders in the second half, because what I've seen from Peterman and the way that that Gruden specifically is kind of grooming him for the full-on backup role here is pretty telling to me as far as how they're going to approach the second half from a competitive standpoint. I don't get that same feel for the Packers, so I'm looking for a second half look here on the Raiders.
Very interesting, and the total dropped so fast. Now it's at 39 at a couple books. What do you think?
Is that weather related? Maybe I can't put my finger on this at all, really. I haven't I was expecting a tight, low-scoring game when we saw Raiders-Cardinals, just because I thought the Cardinals weren't going to really show us much, and I didn't expect the Raiders to just go out there and light the world on fire. And so the fact that the line is moving in the direction of the Green Bay defense is going to dictate this game doesn't really add up to me. I mean, they have a lot of good young defensive players, but it's not like they have matchups that are really all that outstanding for what the Raiders are trying to do right now on offense. So, if anything, I would look to capture a little value and hope that both of these markets have overreacted.
It's beautiful. Winnipeg Thursday night, 74, high of 74, a low of 55 because winter in Winnipeg starts very soon. Very, very soon in Winnipeg. Brandon Lewis says weather looks clean. Spencer Hicks says Raiders look motivated in preseason. And we are very thankful for the fans in Winnipeg and in Saskatchewan. There'd be no Canadian Football League without them. So we are very thankful for their interest, heavy interest in football. And with Saskatchewan, I mean, it's the only professional team is the CFL football, and so I mean, they're diehard Green Rider fans, and we're very thankful up north that they put in all that energy. Because if it was up to Toronto, we'd have an NFL team and no CFL. If Toronto could make a stand there. Okay, so that's our Thursday card. So Giants. Bengals, Donnie RightSide, Capper leaning towards the Giants in that spot. Tom Marino sold me on this Falcons first quarter. I'm going to make a move when it opens up.
Let me, if he's still in the chat, I want to challenge a little bit on the first quarter because these specifically these preseason games, even more so than the regular season games, these first quarters have been flying by. I mean, like maybe you get one team will get 2 possessions on offense, one will get 1. And if you're going to back a first quarter market like that without knowing who gets the ball first, you really are rolling the dice. And so I'm all about a first half look here over a first quarter look. But, if they win the coin toss and if they don't adjust the line and you can get on it, because, it's preseason for the bookmakers too. They're not necessarily keeping up with this stuff and, watching live. So you may be able to get a better line in the moment once you know who gets the ball first.
Wow. And Kyle Jackson watched line movement this week on Chargers. Really dodgy money coming in, and Pete Carroll going 0-6. In preseason. Wow. Okay, I'll keep an eye out for that, Kyle Jack. So then we have the Panthers-Patriots game. Here we have Whale Capper on the Panthers. First half full game, looking for a money line. The last time he was bullish about a spot like this in the preseason was that very easy week 1 win with the Titans. And Donnie liking the Patriots and the under in the Panthers at Patriots game. And then Ravens at Eagles. And Whale Capper bringing up the big market move. The change opens up opportunities for the Eagles early. And that's it's a really interesting look. And Donnie RightSide agreeing with that sentiment.
Agree.
Yeah. Then we have Packers, Raiders in Winnipeg. And it's hard not to like Raiders full game. So the weather isn't the reason. So I'm gonna need to look into that game more. And then we have Jaguars Dolphins. Excuse me. I'm gonna be very interested in that first half over. I'm taking the Miami first half off. And I want to take Miami full game, but I'm just hesitant to take those 3.5s. And if I take a -3, I'm paying -124 for it.
Ugh.
So I haven't made a move yet, and I need to have. Well, I don't want to sound like like an addict, but I'd like to have action. I'm going to have action.
Well, we're going to be at the game. You take the over and we cheer for points.
That's what I think so. Yeah, I think so. That makes sense to me. So those are Thursday's games. Let's move on to these 2 Friday games right now. We'll start with the Browns, Buccaneers. Browns open at a pick'em. Now they're -3. Total opened at 45. Bookmakers dropped it to 43. All other books are at 42.5. The Bucs open with a 30-28 loss at Pittsburgh, followed up with a 16-14 win at home versus the Dolphins. Ryan Griffin has looked good. Blaine Gabbert has not. And we expect to see Jameis Winston getting – I don't know how much we're going to – I don't know if you guys have any inside knowledge on how much Winston we're going to see. Browns have opened with a 30-10 win at home versus the Redskins, 2018 win at Indy. Gilbert looked good last game for the Browns. 13-19, 151 yards, 2 TDs. I mean, he looked good, I thought. He looked good. And this Browns-Buccaneers spot, there's all this hope and excitement around the Browns. Baker Mayfield talking trash about Daniel Jones, and Baker Mayfield sounding extremely confident. I could understand anybody not liking him calling out and I don't like it. I don't like him doing that. But he seems really confident. And if I was a Browns fan or backing them, I'd like to see that confidence that he has right now. Here we go. And I don't know how much we'll see of Baker either. So, Donnie RightSide, we'll start with you. Browns at Bucs.
Yeah, just trying to read into these games because we're taking a look at a team with Tampa Bay, which, new head football coach. I mean, old salt in Bruce Arians, but trying to figure out what type of football team he has before entering into the regular season. And then you take a look at Cleveland, which I think it's one of those things. Are they going to be excited for this football game? I don't really know too much. You're going on the road, but it's one of those things like that last hurrah, Jimmy, where I think sometimes you feel like, can we just make it through here unscathed? We're so close to the regular season. It's going to be so much fun, and we're going to really make a run at it. That's the way I look at it. And then you see the line movement, though, opposite direction of what my thoughts would be. So you open up at a pick 'em. Now you're staying at the road team, a -3 with Cleveland. I'll take the points at home at Tampa Bay. I don't have any extra feel and say, boy, I really like these matchups here. I'm just trying to look on a little bit of commonality, saying this team is ready to hit the runway. The same way like the Philadelphia Eagles are, and you're going to make a Super Bowl run, the last thing your coach is saying in the background, boy, if Baker looks good, or if my running backs look good, or if my wide receivers look good, let's get him out of here. I can't wait to start this off in the first week of September. That's why I'm going to take the Buccaneers and the points. I just think they're looking to factor on and see who's still going to be on this football team, and a lot to play for Tampa Bay, not so much for Cleveland.
Tormino says Tampa Bay is running the ball a lot. I think 42.5 is too high a number. We talked about that before week 1. We talked about Arians saying we need to get the running the ball is a priority. It's going to be a priority in the preseason. We talked about that moving into it, and that's what we've seen. Donnie, what do you think of this total that opened at 45 and is now down to 42.5 at most books?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I think you might get a little bit of offense in this. I don't really see like a clamp-down defensive style, but I'm not going to go against what I continuously say in the preseason. If we're talking mid-40s, which it looks like people are talking mid-40s, people are betting that under, saying, hey, and again, we're talking about Florida the same way we might take a look at Miami. A stray shower goes through there, all the starters are gone in that football game. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, without a doubt. Whale Capper, Browns at Buccaneers.
I guess going back to your original layout here and the confidence of Baker Mayfield, it's very real. You can feel it, and it's very easy to kind of be, see what happens, see how the market has reacted to this team in the offseason and kind of stand on the sidelines and be like, oh, I'm not buying in. These guys are overblown. They're overpriced. I'm not in on these teams. Well, number one, I think the comments about Daniel Jones were a little taken out of context. I think that was a little kind of slow sports day newsy when you kind of dig into it a little bit, and he was pretty quick to clap back and say, no, I respect him, and this is not about like a personal attack on him. It was just more of a commentary on sort of how the quarterback position was evaluated last year in the draft, which, and a guy like, Mayfield, who was at the top of a very good quarterback class, looking at, guys like Murray and Jones who were picked in the top of the next quarterback class, has got a good point. Like, definitely there was some reaching, there was some overdrafting, but, I think you have to give the Giants credit for taking Jones where they took him because, the quarterback position is ever increasing its importance, and if you don't have the guy, then you don't have a chance. And so the more opportunities you swing at top tier talent in the quarterback market in the draft, the better opportunity you find your guy, and you do have a chance. So I give the Giants and Gettleman credit for making that decision this year to take him where they took him. And I think Baker Mayfield, I wish he was a little bit more kind of keeping it together until he actually accomplished something of merit in the NFL. Like it definitely rubs you the wrong way if you're like, dude, just, keep it together until you win. But his confidence is intoxicating, and it is, it does have a contagious aspect to it, and it does make me kind of, I'm excited to watch the Browns pretty much every freaking week this season.
I can't wait to watch them.
I want regular season football, and I want to see how these Browns play together.
I can't wait to watch them.
It's going to be great.
I love everybody being so high on them.
Yeah, and they've looked pretty spectacular through 2 preseason games. Donnie called Browns money line against the Colts last week. That came in spades. I think we were on the Browns also week 1, and they've looked competent on offense. where they have some weaknesses on their offensive line, I do not see anyone on the Tampa Bay first line defense that really competes with them and stops them. And so I would look for, a first half Browns look here or a first half over. I get Tomarino's point about Arians leaning on the run game. I think we see more of that in the second half than we do in the first half, because I think he'd like to get Jameis Winston a little bit of confidence before we hit the regular season here. So I think a first half Browns look and a first half over are probably going to be on my radar on Friday.
Interesting, and we're going to get a chance to talk about these games briefly, but at the very start of the show on our Friday show, Bob Lee Swagger sharing a legend, an old legend that's been talked about to you many times, and I've heard it too. He says, some say under whale capper sunglasses are another pair of sunglasses, and that's an old legend that we've heard of that we'll find out in truth down at the beach at some point on this trip. Okay, I like it. I like it. What do you think, Donnie, of that first half over?
Yeah, more likely. I mean, look, if you're going to get starters that are going to play in the first half, I like that more than the second half because, again, I just think Cleveland sees the finish line there. And in the fourth quarter, like, dude, let's just run. Can we play running quarters like it's high school again or something like that? Yeah. So I do like the first half look.
Joe Rich Ramirez saying good breakdown, Whale. And there's Trotwham in the house says, right, Whale, Trotwham, picking him up tomorrow night. Trotwham will be rolling with us. And if you haven't had the pleasure of hanging with him. Oh, you did, because you saw him win the poker tournament last year.
We were hanging out in L.A.
Yeah, he and L.A. as well. But he won the IFBC poker tournament. He won $2,000 there. Yep. And it made us so happy to see him cash that low bagger, getting that cash. Trotwham says, I'm wearing sunglasses all weekend. So he just really wants to start a real friendship.
Yeah, you're going to love how beautiful it is. I mean, he's from L.A., so he knows what nice weather is. They got it right now in Florida. It's beautiful here.
Oh, it's perfect. Yeah, it's perfect. Okay, let's move on to Bills-Lions. Lions opened up at -2.5. Now Bills -1 everywhere. Here's another one on this small card where it's switched. Bills -1 everywhere except 5 Dimes. 5 Dimes has a pick'em, and Bet365 has the Bills at -1.5. Total open at 43. Bookmakers at 42.5, while almost all other books are at 42, with Heritage hanging at 41.5. Bills have opened with back-to-back wins, 24-16 at home versus the Colts, and then went to Carolina and beat them 27-14. And I do think it's important for the Bills to change the vibe and to start winning in the preseason. I'm so on board with them trying in the preseason, change the culture in the locker room, and I love it. And as you guys know, I'm on the Bills over 6.5 win total. Matt Barkley has been really good, and he's been a leader, and he's saying all the right things in the press, and it's going to be great to know that when Josh Allen tries to get those extra 10 yards and gets concussed, that Barkley will be right there. The Lions got decimated in Week 1, 31-3 by the Patriots, booed off the field. Week 2, they looked better in a 30-23 loss at Houston. David Fales, 12 for 19, 226 yards, 1 TD versus the Texans, and then Josh Johnson did not look good. As expected, 9-18, 85 yards, 1 interception. Donnie RightSide, the last game on the card, Bills at Lions.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because when you take a look at Buffalo and Detroit, I think it's the same thing that both of these teams are trying to impress on is, the culture change that you talked about. Buffalo, completely stripping it down last year. It looks like their future is bright. They're getting the players they need. Now you take a look at Detroit, new coach in the last year. We thought they would have a little bit better, signal because I like the moves, and we think as collectively like some of the moves they had, not per se to win the division or make the playoffs, but just be competitive throughout the year and possibly hit their team total. But it hasn't really shown up here in the preseason. Now, what's shown up in the preseason is Buffalo looks like they're on their way to saying we're going to be here for the next couple of years. We're going to be ready to compete. I'm not ready to turn it over yet. I just like Buffalo's mindset here in the preseason. I agree with the -1. But then when you try to start getting the storylines, which you have to read into in the preseason, you say, you know what, what's the feel like? Because does Detroit want to go into their dress rehearsal, get bounced again, then not care in Week 4 of the preseason, get bounced? Now you're 0-4 as Matt Patricia. Now, real talk, most people say it's not really a big deal, but losing begets losing, and you want to at least have a good showing, or at least in the first half say, you know what, a couple good drives, we're up 14-10, let's call it quits here, we're heading into the regular season. It's a hard one to put past because most professional football teams don't really scoreboard watch, but I got to tell you, if Detroit comes out and throws another clunker out here, it gives us a little bit of doubt in the mind. I'm going to stick with Buffalo on this one. I'll take the -1 here and roll with it.
Rolling with the Bills at -1. Whale Capper, when you talk about this game, can you also briefly touch on that look that we were excited about before Week 1 of the preseason, Lions, Cardinals, Week 1? Is that going away after these performances?
Man, I guess, all right, we'll start with the Lions then. No other team really has sort of the potential chemistry nightmare that exists in Detroit. where there's a legitimate likelihood that if this goes sideways early, this team quits on Patricia and he gets fired relatively early in the season. That's the only kind of situation I see like that, where you have a coach who's not in good standing with his players, and you have expectations that are reasonably high enough that you could have a team quit like that. So it's concerning. I will say that nothing I've seen out of the Cardinals, even though they told us and telegraphed that they weren't going to be trying particularly hard in this preseason, nothing I've seen from them looks any different than a 3-13 team to me. So I still feel like, yes, the Lions ought to be and will be and should be rightfully favored on the road in that week 1 spot. But I'm nervous about their kind of overall trajectory of this season. Nothing about what's going on in the locker room and the way that they've played in these preseason games speaks to any kind of fire or intensity or a special affinity for Patricia. And he's the kind of guy that wears out a welcome real quickly, and it may be sooner than any of us think. Come Halloween, he may be looking for a new job. So it's it's what was the old saying? Never lean the Lions.
Jay Beach,
never lean the lines. So I think as far as this game goes, I'm on the sidelines. I'm keeping. I agree that the Bills have been, with the Giants, kind of the most impressive teams of the preseason to this point, as far as young team looking to try to establish new, important parts of their offensive game, and they've gotten it easily. They've gotten contributions from players that I did not expect to be especially valuable on offense. The rugby kid, I can't remember his name, has been flat out awesome.
Yeah.
Absolute playmaker. And if they can get contributions from him in the regular season, as kind of Shady McCoy heads out, twilight of his career, then that's huge for this team. Josh Allen, Josh Allen's not really a high risk, from a health standpoint. He's a grown ass man. He's going to be doing the concussing. I don't think he's going to be, at risk of getting a concussion.
That's what scares me. That's what scares me, though, is the way he believes in his own physical attributes.
Yeah.
And that scares me. So he puts his shoulder down instead of dragging his feet and going down to the ground, and it scares me.
That's true. He's got the height though, and he's got the the body for it, and he's a true athlete out there. So I think he's going to be pretty a good guy that you could count on for at least giving us 12 games. Maybe he takes a shoulder injury at some point, which is not what you want to see. But he's got a good strong frame, and if they can kind of rein him in some ways, then I wouldn't be too worried about him. But another really important week 1 game. Bills are going to the Jets.
Huge.
Right now, that's Bills +3 on the road. I've gone back and forth on this one 4 times since I've been thinking about it, and I think about that game probably more than any of the other week 1 games, trying to really dial in and figure it out, because it really kind of affects both teams' fortunes for the fabric of the season. Whoever comes away with that win really has the inside track to either be the spoiler in the AFC East or steal a wild card spot, because both have very, very easy schedules, especially early in the season. Both were afforded very, very light travel this year. Lots of games in and around New York State and the Lakes area for the Bills. So it's going to be interesting to see who comes away with the victory in that one. And I'm going to be looking for a lot of kind of clues and signs when we see the first team offense and defense out there, as far as how those teams will match up in that week 1 spot.
Tolmore says, I think Allen will be better than Darnold. Jets have more talent, though. If you could pick one quarterback to succeed this year, or who will succeed the most, Donnie, between Allen and Darnold, who would you take?
It's hard that if you said it last year with the Jets' infrastructure around, you might be able to make an argument. But I think Darnold, the way it's set up, Adam Gase calling it, they got some talent around him. I think his trajectory is higher, but I can't knock what Allen's been doing. But you're right about the concussion. Like 3rd and 18, sure, I'll run the ball and I'll get the first down and I'll jump and do all that stuff. Which you're right about it, but the guys in the locker room see that they play for that, man. They totally. Absolutely play for it.
Sure.
But back to the original question, I think Darnold has a higher ceiling just because they're going to let him operate from the pocket. Where if Allen breaks down, he's out of the pocket. I don't think you'll get that from Darnold, but I think Darnold's the better overall option, especially with the infrastructure.
Jay Peach saying Darnold going to be a stud within 2 years. Darnold, Allen, who do you like this year?
Yeah, I agree with Jay Peach. Darnold will be a stud within 2 years. He's got all the tools, and he's super, super young.
And he acts like he's done it before.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
yeah.
that means so much to me. And we're talking about, we're talking about leading in the dressing room and Allen and people seeing how he puts his shoulder down to get that extra yard. But Darnold, when I watched him in college, I was like, he's acting like he's done it before, and I love that.
Yeah, he has the tools, he has the skill set, he has the weapons around him, and the Jets are going to be in a number of games where they're going to be behind, and as long as he's back there trying to throw them back into games, he's going to rack up stats. He is going to be a stat machine this year with the diverse set of weapons he's throwing to. I could see all three guys, Robbie Anderson, Crowder, and Bell. I think all three guys are candidates to get 75 or more receptions this year. I think Darnold's probably going to be in the 4,500-yard passing club. He's probably going to be throwing 35, 40 touchdowns, but he probably will also make mistakes. He's going to throw. He'll be in the conversation for most interceptions probably just because they're going to give him the opportunity to try to throw themselves back into games when they're behind. In general, I don't see a ton of the Jets overall. They're a fragile team, right? Like they're going to be they don't have the slam dunk pass defense to prevent comebacks. And they don't have the slam dunk running offense to salt away games when they have a lead. So there's going to be a ton of games where you're like, oh, this is no doubt this team wins. They're going to put them away and they're going to blow a lead. And then there's going to be other games where you're like, well, they don't have a chance and they're going to come back and surprise you. So it's going to be a roller coaster ride back in the Jets all season this year. And I would just really look for pick the right spots where they are dogs. Where they're not expected to win, but they have a puncher's chance to come back because Darnold can absolutely sling it. And I think overall he's going to put up the more impressive stat line, but Josh Allen's not going to have to do nearly as much to get wins because the unit on the other side of him is going to fundamentally put them in position to win games by only scoring 21, 24 points. Yep. The Buffalo Bills defense is without a doubt a top 5 unit in this league. Their schedule is easy. Josh Allen probably only has to throw, say, 3,500 or so yards to get 8-9 wins, whereas Darnold's going to have to throw, eclipse 4,500 yards to get 8 or 9 wins.
Le'Veon Bell, 1,125.5 yards over or under.
Rushing under, slam dunk. His receiving yards, though, I would look over. I think his receiving yards probably like 699-ish.
I'd have to look for it. You'd have to probably ask Bet365 for that one.
Yeah, I think Le'Veon Bell receiving. I think you can find it at 5 dimes, and I think it's in the 699, 700 ballpark. And I would look receiving yards over for Le'Veon Bell. I think they're going to utilize him quite a lot in the passing game this season.
Donnie, Le'Veon Bell, 1,125.5 yards over under.
I'm gonna say, you know what? It's a tough number because I do think he reaches that 1,000 plateau, but we're always looking at that next option. Like when we talk about like Todd Gurley, like well, we don't want to really use him up because we spent a lot and we want him here for a couple of years. That always factors in, but he has the ability to go over it. I'm going to say he gets over 1,000 but doesn't get the 1,125, but Will Capper's right. He's going to be used a lot in the passing game. A 3-down back where they're going to dump it off, have screens, and let him loose. He's going to get after it in the passing game.
I love these unders on season-long rushing yards. If you take them
Injury,
all,
you win. You know what I mean? Injury, you win.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you take them all, I don't have numbers to back it up, but I just think that it's so hard to get these overs. One injury for one hamstring,
misses 2 games, you win. Yeah. It's yours. Yep.
I find that under very appealing that you talked about. -120 here at Bet365. Well, there you have it. There is our Tuesday show. So our Friday show is going to be packed. We're going to have a packed show, but we are very thankful for it.
Like my Bears?
Sure.
All right.
Not to win.
Well, he does. Donnie is higher on the Bears than we are.
Jets. We'll get into some Bears on Friday for sure.
Sweet.
Yeah, we'll dig in. We'll dig in.
This Viper MB says I got 1,100 for Bell.
Yep.
JP says, man, I don't see it with Bell on the Jets. I see him around 900. Trotwam says Le'Veon was used with kid gloves a lot in Pittsburgh. You guys are right. He should be let loose in New York. It's exciting, man. Very, very, very exciting. And so Thursday night we're going to be live at the Dolphins game.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Thank you guys so much for watching. What we need from you guys watching is to join our $50,000 Pick Six contest, free to enter, and we're going to be in it. So it's going to be all year. We're going to be talking about where we stand and what our records are, and we will toast the victors, and we will roast the guys in last place. So there's going to be a lot of bragging rights. But what a treat it is to have you guys live in Miami. This is like, we've been dreaming about this. All of us here at SBR have been dreaming about this week. And to be here in this gorgeous hotel and have you guys rolling, I'm just so excited, so excited. Donnie RightSide, any final notes?
Yes. I want to know if there's going to be any $5 Patron at the stadium on Thursday night that we can maybe partake in. But it's going to be good. I'm one of the guys, I'm an old school guy. I haven't been to Hard Rock Stadium, and I haven't been to Marlins Park. That's one of my favorite joys in life, walking into a place you haven't been for but watched it so many times. It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward. All the guys will be there. We're gonna have a good time here.
I was reading this baseball book, and a guy just baseballs his whole life, and he was bringing his 4-year-old daughter, and he was wanting her to like it so much, and she gets over to see the stadium, and she goes, "Daddy, it's so green, and he starts sobbing. Starts fucking sobbing. So I get what you mean.
Yep.
I'm getting goosebumps just getting a chance to hang out in the stadium. I was at the old Marlins Park, and I saw Mark McGwire hit 450. It was like over 900 feet of home runs, and I got to see that in person. And there was a huge storm that came in, and it was just, I can't wait for this experience because I remember all of that. That was like 23 years ago. I remember it like it was yesterday. I remember the sound of the bat when Mark McGwire hit the ball. I remember watching it soar. I remember thinking
up
about
in the aqua seats,
thinking about the drugs he was going to be using at the end of the in the clubhouse right after the game, right in the ass. I always figured that's where he would take the steroids. That was always in my image. I was like, yeah, he's getting right cheek today, left cheek tomorrow. Whale Capper, any final thought?
Yeah. Speaking of storms, Miami better brace itself for a Category 4.
Oh, boy.
We are going to take this town this weekend. It is going to be so much fun. Cannot wait to see everybody who's coming into town to celebrate the end of the summer with us here. We are here for your entertainment, and this will be a hell of a weekend.
You should see the size of the bottle I got at Walgreens for $19.99 Canadian Club, and it's got a grip on it.
Rick seen it. He's seen it firsthand out there.
Ricky during the show, and it cut him.
Oh.
It's plastic, and it cut him. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. So remember, hit the 2 links on the bottom for us. One is the 50K Pick Six contest. The other is the best sportsbook link that we have. And if you on Twitter, SBR Sports Picks, I also retweeted it. If you hit that link and then reply which books that you're interested, then you're up for winning the NFL Game Pass. On behalf of Donnie RightSide and Whale Capper and myself, thank you guys so much for watching. Both these guys are on my show in 20 minutes. Stick around 20 minutes. I'm gonna pour a little something in my cup for this late show and get it popping. Get it popping. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will be back at 4 p.m. Eastern on Friday, and see you guys in 20 minutes on my late show. Thank you guys so much.